Trump administration announces second phase of Gaza peace plan. Denmark to increase military footprint in and around Greenland. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Sahih Samsudin and you're watching World Today. US President Donald Trump's administration on Wednesday announced the launch of the second phase of the Gaza peace plan, shifting the focus from ceasefire to demilitarization, democratic governance and reconstruction. The announcement reiterated the US side's expectation that Hamas would comply fully with its obligations, including the immediate return of the final deceased hostage. The envoy warned that failure to comply will bring serious consequences. According to a joint statement issued by the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, Egypt, Qatar and Turkey also announced the completion of forming a Palestinian Technocratic Committee to administer Gaza. The three mediators described the move as an important development toward enhancing stability and improving humanitarian conditions in the enclave. The committee is headed by Ali Abdel Hamid Shah, a veteran engineer and former deputy planning minister in the Palestinian Authority. The Gaza ceasefire agreement continues to face challenges amid mutual accusations between Hamas and Israel of violations, with casualties still being reported since its entry into force. The United States has suspended the processing of immigrant visas from 75 countries in a new move by President Donald Trump aimed at tightening immigration controls. The State Department said the pause is based on nationality, using existing legal authority to prevent applicants deemed likely to rely on public welfare. Officials said the suspension will remain while immigration screening procedures are reassessed. White House officials said affected countries include Somalia, Russia and Iran, along with several US partners such as Brazil, Egypt and Thailand. Other countries reportedly affected include Nigeria, Iraq and Yemen, though a full official list has not been released. The State Department said more than 100,000 visas have been revoked since President Trump returned to office, while the Department of Homeland Security reported over 600,000 deportations in the same period. The visa pause does not apply to tourists, business or major event travel, including visits for this year's World Cup, though authorities say all applicants will face stricter screening. Danish Defence Minister Troels Lund Poulsen said on Wednesday that Denmark will increase its military footprint in Greenland. Denmark and Greenland said they had begun to increase their military presence in and around Greenland in close cooperation with allies as part of their promise to beef up Arctic defence.
Men nu kommer vi til at have et større militært aftryk, og det gør vi, fordi vi vurderer, at det er det rigtige at gøre. Også i forhold til, at der er brug for at have en større grad af tilstedeværelse sammen med andre NATO-allierede. Det er jo også noget af det, som vi har diskuteret løbende i NATO gennem de seneste 2 år, hvor jeg jo selv kraftigt har argumenteret for, at NATO bliver nødt til at interessere sig noget mere for sikkerheden i den del af NATO-rammen, som Nordatlanten og Arktis befinder sig.
The announcement comes as Denmark's and Greenland's foreign ministers were set to meet with US Vice President J.D. Vance after weeks of threats by President Donald Trump to take control of the island and autonomous territory of Denmark. Also on Wednesday, Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson announced on X that Sweden was sending a group of military officers to Greenland on Wednesday at Denmark's request. US President Donald Trump said Wednesday he had been told the killings of protesters in Iran had been halted, but added that he would watch it and see about threatened military action. Trump had repeatedly talked in recent days about coming to the aid of the Iranian people over the crackdown on protests. In a surprise announcement at the White House, Trump said he had now received assurances from very important sources on the other side that Tehran had now stopped and that executions would not go ahead.
We'll find out about it I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset, but that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped, that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi later said there would be no hanging in an interview with US network Fox News.
There's no any hanging today or tomorrow or whatever. That's
Friday?
I can tell you, I'm confident about that. There is no plan for hanging at all. The number of deaths, although they tried hard to increase the number of deaths, are only hundreds. The exact figure would be announced very soon, perhaps tonight, by our authorities.
Araghchi said the Iranian government was in full control and reported an atmosphere of calm after what he called 3 days of terrorist operation. French Minister Sébastien Lecornu survived 2 no-confidence votes in Parliament on Wednesday, clearing the way for the government to focus on yet another budget showdown in coming days. The no-confidence motions filed by the far-right National Rally RN and hard-left France En Vote LFI aim to protest the European Union's trade agreement with the Mercosur bloc. Despite French opposition, EU member states last week approved the signing of the long-debated deal with Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay. The RN and LFI accused the government of not doing enough to block it. The Socialist Party had ruled out backing the no-confidence motions, and the Conservative, the Republicans, also said they would not vote to censure the government over Mercosur. As a result, both motions failed. Lecornu said time spent on the no-confidence votes was further delaying fraught debates on the country's 2026 budget, which he said political leaders should instead focus on. President Emmanuel Macron, according to his entourage, wants a budget adopted in January and is now neutral on how to achieve that. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived in Beijing on Wednesday for an official visit to China through Saturday. The visit marks the first trip to China by a Canadian Prime Minister in 8 years. When briefing on the visit of Carney, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said President Xi Jinping will meet with the Canadian Prime Minister to provide new strategic guidance for further improving and developing China-Canada relations. Chinese Premier Li Qiang and Chairman of China's National People's Congress Standing Committee, Zhao Leji, will hold separate talks and meetings with the Canadian Prime Minister to conduct comprehensive and in-depth changes on bilateral relations as well as issues of mutual interest. The spokesperson said China looks forward to taking this visit as an opportunity to enhance dialogue and communication, increase political mutual trust, and expand practical cooperation. Meetings would also touch on properly managing differences, addressing each other's concerns, and consolidate the momentum of improvement in China-Canada relations to bring greater mutual benefit. Up next, IPM visits train derailment site after crane fell on carriages. Stay tuned.
MyCard bukan sekadar kad pengenalan, tetapi medium utama yang menghubungkan rakyat dengan pelbagai perkhidmatan kerajaan dan swasta. Banyak insentif kerajaan disalurkan melalui MyCard, daripada bantuan kebajikan, kemudahan kesihatan hinggalah pelbagai program rakyat. Inilah keistimewaan yang dimiliki oleh setiap warga negara Malaysia. Sila periksa keadaan MyCard anda. Sekiranya chip rosak, hilang atau MyCard sudah uzur, segera lakukan penggantian di Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara agar hak dan kemudahan anda sentiasa terjamin. Inilah komitmen madani. Dengan dokumen identiti yang sah, moden dan diyakini, rakyat disantuni sebaiknya. MyCard, identiti anda, kebanggaan negara.
Thai Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul visited the site where a train derailed in northeastern Thailand on Wednesday after a construction crane fell on two of its carriages, killing at least 32 people and injuring 66. The accident occurred in the Setia district of Nakhon Ratchasima province on a train from the capital bound for Ubon Ratchathani province. The crane was working on a high-speed rail project when it collapsed and hit the passing train, causing it to derail and briefly catch fire. Chanvirakul told the State Railway of Thailand to provide good compensation for families of the dead. Commenting to reporters after being briefed at the scene, the Thai Prime Minister also called for relevant authorities to investigate and take necessary legal actions pertaining to the matter. The Italian Thai Development Public Company Limited, which was contracted to build the rail segment, expressed regret for the accident and said it would provide compensation and relief to families of the casualties. Cambodia will continue efforts to dismantle cross-border scam networks operating in the region. Its Foreign Minister Pak Sokhonn said the arrest and extradition of alleged scam syndicate kingpin Cheng Zi to China is not the end of its fight against transnational crime. Chen's arrest last week followed a joint investigation between Cambodia and China, though details were not disclosed. He was extradited to China after investigations found his Cambodian nationality was not legally obtained and that he remains a Chinese national. U.S. authorities have also indicted Chen for wire fraud and money laundering, alleging his business empire was used as a front for a massive investment scams. Cambodia says it is working closely with several countries, including China, the United States, South Korea, Thailand and Vietnam, to tackle online scam syndicates. Hong Kong will take full action to address the impact of a deadly fire at the residential complex and will carry out systemic reforms to improve building safety and fire control. Chief Executive John Lee made the statement at the first sitting of the 8th-term Legislative Council, outlining the government's response to the incident. Hong Kong police and anti-corruption authorities have arrested several individuals on suspicion of manslaughter and corruption linked to the case. The Development Bureau has ordered the removal of scaffolding nets at buildings under maintenance and is reviewing approval and inspection procedures. The Hong Kong government has also introduced subsidies and relief measures to support affected residents. An independent committee has been set up to investigate the cause of the fire and determine accountability, with a report expected within 9 months. Lee said the government will act on the committee's recommendations and implement targeted reforms across multiple sectors. The fire broke out on 26 November, destroying 7 buildings at the Wang Fuk Court housing complex in Tai Po district. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Wednesday that Elon Musk's act is acting to ensure full compliance with the UK law after the country's media regulator launched a probe into the platform over sexualized imagery produced by the Grok AI chatbot.
The actions of Grok and X are disgusting and they're shameful. And frankly, the decision to then turn this into a premium service is horrific. And we're absolutely determined to take action here. We've made it clear that X has to act, and if not, Ofcom has our full backing and will introduce and are introducing legislation.
Ofcom earlier launched an investigation into the social media platform over concerns Grok was creating sexually intimate deepfake images in violation of its duty to protect people in the UK from illegal content. Technology Minister Lee Skandal said a new law making it an offence to create sexual deepfakes would come into force this week to tackle the images, which she called weapons of abuse. A SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule has departed the International Space Station on an emergency return to Earth after one crew member developed a serious medical condition. The capsule is heading for a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California early Thursday. All 4 members of the Crew 11 mission are returning to Earth earlier than planned as a precaution. NASA said the decision was made to ensure the affected astronaut receives immediate medical treatment on the ground. The agency did not identify the crew member or disclose details of the medical condition, citing privacy concerns. Crew 11 includes US astronauts Zina Kadman and Mike Fink, Japanese astronaut Kimiya Yui, and Russian cosmonaut Oleg Platonov. The crew arrived at the space station in August after launching from Florida. Peruvian transport workers held their first strike of the year on Wednesday to demand protection from rising crime as President Jose Jerry announced new measures to combat lack of security on public transport. Passengers crammed inside the few buses that operated in the morning in Lima as many transport drivers' unions seconded the strike and no more major incidents were reported. President Jose Jerry approached a group of protesters to inform them about the decrees to be implemented from Thursday aimed at strengthening security on public transport. During the first weekend of 2026, Peruvian media reported 10 people were killed by hitmen in the capital as Jerry's state of emergency remained in place in metropolitan Lima and Callao province.
Exactamente, que es la prohibición justamente y la profesionalización de los conductores. Son las dos normas que vamos a publicar, bueno, vamos a firmar el día de hoy y en consecuencia mañana debe estar en plena vigencia.
Jerry was sworn in October, vowing to make tackling crime a top priority. In 2025, he faced major protests called by civil society groups and young people from the so-called Generation Z, demanding measures against rising crime. China's automobile production and sales both exceeded 34 million units in 2025, setting a new record high based on the latest industry data on Wednesday. According to the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers, CAAM, in 2025, China's total car sales rose 9.4% on year to 34.4 million units. The association noted that China's auto output and sales have remained the highest globally for 7 consecutive years. The country's automobile production and sales have remained above the threshold of 30 million units for 3 consecutive years. New energy vehicles and EVs accelerated their growth momentum with production and sales totaling 16.626 million and 16.49 million units respectively, marking respective year-on-year increases of 29% and 28.2% and maintaining the top position in the world for 11 straight years. In the year, China's auto exports reached a new high of more than 7 million units, with the exports of NEVs alone reaching 2.615 million units, up 1 time over the previous year. In sports, Senegal and Morocco to clash in AFCON final. Stay tuned.
76 minit tanpa henti.
76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise.
Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744, 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam.
Malaysia tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Sadio Mane trashed home a dramatic winner 12 minutes from full time to send Senegal into the Africa Cup of Nations final after they edged Egypt 1-0 in a tense last 4 encounter on Wednesday. It was as much as Senegal deserved after they dominated the match, with Egypt spearheaded by talisman Mohamed Salah not having any shots at goal. Senegal did more attacking in the cagey first half without seriously threatening 37-year-old Egypt goalkeeper Mohamed El Shinawi. Egypt threatened the Senegal defence for the first time in added time at the end of the opening half when awarded a free kick close to the touchline. But the set-piece delivery from Salah slipped through a crowded goal mouth and out of play beyond the far post. As the semi-final passed the hour mark, the pattern of the opening half continued. Egypt were content to let Senegal have more possession, confident they would snuff out any threat to El Sinawi. Finally, within 12 minutes remaining, the Senegalese pressure was rewarded with two-time African Player of the Year Mane scoring. Former champion Senegal will face host Morocco in the final. In another semi-final, goalkeeper Yassine Bounou was the hero on Wednesday with 2 saves and the shutout as hosts. Morocco beat Nigeria 4-2 on penalties, finished goalless at the end of the extra time. Bounou saved from Samuel Chukwueze and brilliantly from Bruno Oyemachi, allowing Yusuf En-Nesri to convert the winning kick and spark wild celebrations among the crowd inside the Prince Moulay Abdullah Stadium in Rabat. There was joy but also relief for Hamza Igamani, who had appeared distraught after his kick. Morocco's second in the shootout was saved by Nigeria goalkeeper Stanley Nobali. He was the only Moroccan player to fail to score in the shootout, however, with captain and talisman Achraf Hakimi among those who converted their penalties. Substitute Hefte Bentancur scored twice as second-tier Albacete pulled off a dramatic 3-2 victory over Spanish giants Real Madrid on Wednesday, eliminating them from the Copa del Rey at the round of 16 stage. The hosts took the lead in the 42nd minute with Javier Villas' header, but Real struck back just before half-time with Franco Mastantuono pouncing on a rebound from a corner. Albacete regained the lead in the 82nd minute when Hefte unleashed a venomous strike from a poor clearance into the back of the net. Real Madrid thought they had rescued the tie in the stoppage time when Gullis' corner was met by Gonzalo Garcia, whose towering header made it 2-2. But as the visitors pressed for a late winner, they left themselves exposed at the back, with Hefte breaking free on the counter-attack and unleashing a sublime right-footed strike to seal a shock victory for the hosts. Tottenham Hotspur on Wednesday announced England midfielder Conor Gallagher will be joining them in the Premier League from Atletico Madrid on a long-term contract. The 25-year-old, who joined the Spanish side from Chelsea in 2024, made 4 starts in La Liga this season. Spurs and Atletico agreed a transfer fee approximately £34.6 million, equivalent to about $46.6 million according to British media. The pressure is mounting on manager Thomas Frank, with Tottenham registering 1 win in their last 7 games across all competitions. To add to their troubles, forward Mohamed Kudus suffered a quad injury, keeping him out until April, while midfielders Lucas Boval and Rodrigo Batancho have also sidelined due to injuries. Striker Richarlison also went down with what appeared to be a hamstring strain in their 2-1 loss to Aston Villa last Saturday, which sealed Tottenham exit from the FA Cup. Tottenham, 14 in the Premier League standings, will next face relegation-threatened West Ham United on Saturday. A little bit on tennis. An amateur tennis player from Sydney, Jordan Smith, struck gold on Wednesday as he walked away with a cheque worth $1 million Australian dollars after holding his nerve to win the one-point slam ahead of the Australian Open. The showdown pitted amateur players and celebrities against an elite field of 24 professionals, which included the likes of Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, and Iga Swiatek. Reigning motorcycle champion Daniel Sanders vowed to battle on in the Dakar Rally on Wednesday despite suffering a suspected broken collarbone on stage 10 in the Saudi Arabian desert. The Australian KTM rider crashed over a dune after 138 kilometres of the 371-kilometre stage and dropped from the lead to 4th overall, with American Ricky Brabec taking over the top on a Honda. Honda's Adrian Van Beveren won the stage ahead of Brabec, who was credited with 1 minute and 37 seconds for assisting Sanders and assumed the overall lead. The American leads Argentina's KTM rider Luciano Benavides by 56 seconds, with Spaniard Tosha Saccharina third for Honda, but 15 minutes and 43 seconds off the pace. In the car category, Qatar's Nasser Al Attiyah returned to the top 4 for the Sia and opened up a 12-minute gap on Toyota's South African Heng Latigan and a further 50 seconds on Ford's previous leader Nani Roma. France's 9-time World Rally champion Sébastien Loeb was 4th overall, 23 minutes behind teammate Al Attiyah. Matteo Stradori won the stage for the Century Racing Team, with Attiyah second and Loeb third. The race, which ends on Saturday on the Red Sea coast, is also the first round of the World Rally Raid Championship W2RC season.
tingkap dan pintu untuk kekal dingin dan lebih jimat.
And that's all for now. In our top story, Trump administration announces second phase of Gaza peace plan. Do join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more news. Or you can stream us live on RTM Clicks website and mobile applications. Till then, Malaysia, I'm Sahih. Goodbye and see you on the next one.